Hello. Welcome to my mediocre debut video. On this channel, I'll be doing a mix of terrible book reviews, mediocre gameplays, and terrible book reviews, audio playing over mediocre gameplays. Now, a week ago, I made the grave mistake of agreeing to review my friend's mediocre book series that I beta read. Now, why am I doing this? Money? Fame? Being a good friend? No. I'm doing this for the sheer fact that it is an opportunity to embarrass my dear friend. By the way, there will be spoilers in the video. If you care about this absolute rubbish being spoiled, then don't watch this video. And without further ado, let's get into the Ground Zero review. And where else do we start other than the beginning? Oh, the summary. So, I just lied to you. Get used to it. While yes, Ground Zero is the beginning story of the main character we follow for 2.5 books, it's not actually the first book made in the series, nor is it the first canonically. The first book made in the series is the original Ground Zero, while the first canonically is Ground Zero War of the World, starring the main character's mother. Next episode we'll cover War of the World, and then we'll get to mainline. Got it? Don't? I don't care. Moving on. Okay. Before we actually start, you're gonna hear a name in the story that's gonna make you go, wait, that egotistical wrote his name in his friend's story. Dear viewer, that is not the case. Instead of me doing the non-consensual things, it's my friend this time. You see, he came up to me asking for names for his main characters that started with a D. After a wild conversation, he asked me what a name was on my socials, link in bio, in which most of them are Zeronia. Little did I know, I would be tied to this book for as long as I lived. Or he just named him after a Rumble Fighters character. Now, time to read the description on the back. The Manaheis are a quiet and peaceful family, just trying to live their lives. But their lives are suddenly ripped apart without any warning, tearing the family apart and sending the youngest son, Zeronia, down an unintended path in his life. Gee, this sounds extremely edgy. The description kind of reminds me of Vigil's backstory from Rainbow Six Siege. If you know, you know. Anyway, enough stalling. Grab a drink, snack, closest bottle of pills just in case, and get ready for the story review. The epilogue starts off with our main character's mother waking up next to her husband after giving birth to 2 twin girls. The mother's name is Zela Manahei, and the father's name is Cassidy Manahei. Real quick, as we delve further into the series, you'll start to see a naming scheme with the Manahei family. Keep that in mind. Anyway, after she gives birth to the twins, Zela and Zera, she quickly breaks down in tears and says that this is the happiest she's ever been. Real sappy stuff. Attached yet? Don't be. Anyway, we skip 3 years in the same epilogue to Zela giving birth again. Out pops a little baby boy and our very tolerable main character, Zeronia Manahei. Hey, that's me. Great. Now, his eyes are described as pink and purple, respectively, with crosses for pupils. So, since that's a bit difficult to think up by yourself, here's a rough estimate of what would look like in his left pink eye. Well, that's the epilogue done. Let's get into Chapter 0. Chapter 0 starts with Zela telling us that she's never told her children she loves them. Mother of the Year, guys! Yeah! She justifies this by saying that her actions shows that she loves them. But, girl, words are sometimes more important than actions. Stuff happens, she meets up with the character that lasts for 3 chapters, she goes home, thinks about how much she loves her children. We're going to chapter 1. The chapter starts with the character's POV that we follow, Zeri, as she wakes up for breakfast. She shakes her sister awake like a Coke can, gets dressed, and then goes downstairs. She's immediately tackled by 5-star linebacker Zeronia, who I will be calling Zero for the rest of the video, unless I decide otherwise. The interaction here is a bit adorable, not gonna lie. Even though the dialogue is a bit wonky, I can tell how much they love each other. Kind of. Oh, I feel so bad for these poor children. After Zeri has finished breakfast, Zela, the great mother that she is, asks her 2 7-year-old children to go into town by themselves. I don't think I need to tell you that sending two small, brainless marker humans to go walk into town by themselves is a bad idea. But some might say, Zeronia, maybe the town is close. We will learn later that the town is about 40 minutes away by foot. So as our children walk 40 minutes away by themselves. And just as expected, Zeri and Zera go outside, walk through a forest, get lost and chased by wolves, and climb into a tree until the moon comes out. Great. The chapter starts with Zera and Zeri, realizing they fell asleep on top of the tree, and now they're completely They climb down and haul down to town. They furiously knock on a random door like a Jehovah's Witness until a woman answers. This woman is Grier Evergarden, a non-important character to multiple important characters in the story. So, I guess she is kinda important. Sorta. Not really. No, she's really not. Anyway, they ask her to stay since she's like their aunt, and Grier agrees. So for the next few days, Grier takes care of Zeri and Zera until Zela comes and picks them up, which, might I reiterate, takes multiple days. They get back home, Zero hugs them, they all fall asleep. I really don't have a good feeling about this. This chapter is basically just Zela beating up her kids under the rise of training. Moving on now. The chapter starts with Zeri bursting through the door, asking for her mother's help. When her mother asks what happened, she starts shivering like a kid on report card day. Apparently, she lost her little brother in town. Yeah, I think that's worse than getting a bad report card. Zela is justifiably mad, and Zeri is justifiably terrified. Cassidy comes over and saves Zeri from certain death, but gets into a little lover's quarrel with his wife. She cracks a wall. Is this a good segue to explain magic? Magic in this universe serves a lot of purposes. Cooking, cleaning, flying, making your body unnaturally strong, etc., etc. Magic in this series isn't necessarily called magic, as it's called kinesis. For example, fire magic is pyrokinesis, ice magic is cryokinesis. Magic can also be used to make your body hard as rock or as strong as a Genshin Impact fan at a daycare. Alright, exclamation mode deactivated. Back to torture. Cassidy takes his daughter out to find his son. They come to the guild, and Zeri expresses her admiration for her father's high guild and exploration status. She is given her father's goggles as motivation for becoming an explorer, and they share a nice little moment between daughter and father. Oh, and they find Zero. That's cool, I guess. This chapter starts with the twins in town. Don't worry, their mother has joined them this time. This is very short-lived, as their mother then abandons them to go talk with Grier, leaving the girls to get gripped up by a random Discord mod who doctors their location and information. It builds character, trust me. Oh, and when they break Zeri's arm, that also builds character. Zela eventually stops them, stomps their face in, gets stopped, heals her daughter. They all go home like a happy family. Now, here comes the fun part. Chapter 6. This chapter starts with Zera waking up and comforting her little brother as he has a nightmare. Boring stuff happens, they get up, Zela accidentally go in town for stuff again, Zero complains, stops complaining, and all three of them go into town together. As they're making their way into town, Zero accidentally bumps into and is picked up by a woman in a white lab coat. She compliments her eyes, embarrassing him before he's whisked away by his sisters. Keep that character in mind. As they're in town, Zero disappears out of his sister's sight and reappears shortly after, stating that he suddenly just flew away. Zeri and Zera both notice how this is a sign that his match is coming in. Early at that. As soon as they get home, they find a note on the table left by their mother. Zeri makes a note on how it's weird that they've been called to the guild late at night. So they wait. And wait. And wait. And wait. How long do I have to keep saying and? Zela comes back after a few hours. Just Zela. She sends Zero upstairs while she sits her daughters down. And then she gives them the terrible news. Cassidy had just died an hour ago in the infirmary. As Zeri is contemplating her father's death, poor innocent Zeronia asks his big sister why she's so sad. She lies to him in an attempt to protect him, which she does more and more in the story. She tells her baby brother that their father just went on the trip. Oh, that poor, stupid kid. She goes downstairs to comfort her sister, and also notices that her mother is absent. What else is new? Suddenly, her mother bursts through the door frantically. She yells at her daughters that they need to leave before something— Hey, what is that? What the fuck? Oh, sorry about that. Think I'm fine. But I can't say the same for the family. Their house is blown to smithereens by a missile of some sorts, leaving the house a burning and smoking mess. Zeri and Zera both find their mother, but also find out that Zeronia is missing. Not good. Seeing no way out, Zela does the only thing any mother would do. She hugs her children, tells them she loves them, and teleports them away to safety. They arrive at Kair's house, who tells them that someone is after them. She hugs the girls, tells them to stay safe, and teleports them away to a flower field, an entire region away from their home. A floral field, if you could say. Get it? Because the town they teleport to is floral field? I'll stop. The girls grip each other's hands, promise they'll always be with each other, and go off to the town about a mile ahead of them. By the way, I hope you didn't like these girls too much, because we won't be seeing them for the rest of the book. Chapter 8 takes place 3 years later, as the name of the chapter implies, as we are now following the youngest son for the rest of the book. Kind of. Anyway, we're introduced to a new and very, very important character, Kamuri Evergarden. If that name sounds familiar, then you have the memory above a goldfish. Kamuri Evergarden is the youngest daughter of Grier Evergarden and is the adopted mother of Zeronia Manahei. While she's cold and calculated when it comes to others, she's a soft spot for children, especially for her adopted son. No, his last name is not Evergarden. Yes, he will get it later. No, it will not replace his name fully. Yes, his name will be Zeronia Evergarden Manahei in the future. Please stop. Things happen, emotions build up, he starts crying, and then we're introduced to the, and I'm quoting my friend verbatim, the most important character in the Ground Zero series. Yes, more important than Zela. Yes, more important than Zero. Grier Evergarden is the older sister of Kamuri Evergarden and is Zero's adoptive aunt. Grier is much softer than her younger sister when it comes to both adults and children, yet she's no pushover. She knows when to get serious, and is very spooky when she does. Grier comforts the boy, stops him from crying. We're moving on to the next chapter now. These titles are gonna be the death of me. Chapter 9 is in Kamuri's point of view, and we follow her as she walks to town with Zero. They visit multiple shops. Zero goes missing. Oh, Zero goes missing. Kamuri enters brand new mother mode and starts to frantically search the town. She finds him huddled up in a corner with teardrops having replaced his eyes. This is where the author introduced the fact that Zero's, and by proxy Zela's and a future character who I will not name right now, pupils change based on intense emotions. Why is that music playing? Well, as I said before, Zero's eyes change based on the emotions he's feeling. They go as follows. Sun pupils mean extreme happiness or comfort. Teardrop pupils mean extreme fear or sadness. Heart pupils mean he's extremely embarrassed or flustered like he's goddamn Sanji. And skulls mean extreme anger. Now, Black scare with white dotted pupils mean a whole mix of emotions, but mostly pure, unadulterated hatred. Like what I have for Overwatch 2. Back to the story. Kamuri picks her son up and carries him away to the guild, promising him that she'll protect him no matter what. Real talk, I like this chapter a bit. Shocker. It's just cute, I guess. I like the way the relationship between Kamuri and Zero is built up in this chapter a little bit, and throughout the book in general. Anyway, onward.
I wonder where they're moving to.
Chapter 10 skips again 4 years in the future. Zero is now 12, and Kamuri has fully embraced her role as a mother. You don't know what I mean by that last part. I forgot to mention that Kamuri was having a conversation with her friend that she didn't know what she was doing or if she was capable of being a decent mother for Zero. Anyway, back to this dumpster fire. Zero complains about moving a bit, but then quickly backtracks when his mother expresses her shared sadness and annoyance of leaving once again. They take a day to pack their bags and hop on Grier's Griffin Azazel. As they're flying to the town on the Big Bird, Kamuri asks her son if he'll miss school. Zero says no, as he's an incel and has no friends. Everyone point and laugh. Anyway, they arrive at town and are immediately greeted by a husband and wife with bright pink hair. No, my dear viewers, they aren't TikTok warriors. This is the good time to explain the different races in this series. Now, Zela, Cassidy, Zeri, Zera, Zeronia, Kamuri, and Grier are all humans. Humans have a great balance between mana, strength, speed, and endurance, and are the only race that can increase those stats with extreme ease. Fairies are detectable by their naturally hot pink hair and butterfly-like wings on their backs. They are efficient at speed and decent at magic. Their physical strength is nothing to write home to, and their endurance is terrible. They grow to be shorter than most other races, save for the elves. Speaking of elves, elves are notable for their naturally neon green hair and pointy ears. They are built for magic, nothing else. They have crappy speed, terrible endurance, and the strength of your average D&D fan. And lastly, for now, we have demons. Demons are known for their bright red hair and sharp horns sticking out of their head. The size of a demon's horns determine their strength. The bigger their horns, the more the physical strength. Speaking of that, demons have the greatest natural physical strength and endurance out of any race, as well as being able to grow the tallest. Whew. Holy sh**. As I was saying, they are greeted by a husband and wife, the Serracias. They are longtime friends of Kamuri and Grier and have lived in Zeronia Town their entire lives. As they say their greetings, we learn of Zero's slight genophobia as Mrs. Serracia tries to talk to him. When he reveals his age, though, that's when all hell breaks loose. She calls for her daughter, Skye Serracia. I will talk about Skye soon.
Very soon.
Miss Serracia asks Skye to give Zero a tour. She complains, of course, but eventually agrees to do it. She then takes our boy's hand and pulls him away. Now, I think by this description, Zeronia Town is based on Chinese culture. That's the only explanation I have for the Red Lanterns besides Japanese culture. I mean, it would make sense. Skye, and by proxy her family, and probably most of Zeronia Town, and Zero, and by proxy his family, are both Asian. While Skye being Chinese, while Zero is Japanese. As they're walking, Skye asks Zero's name, which he gives. She comments on how girly it sounds, which, I mean, we were all thinking of it, but it's a move to say it out loud. Not just his name, though. It's his entire being. His shark-like teeth, his eyes, his goddamn leafiest haircut. Poor Zero, man. First his family gets quicksilver to deal with an autistic Asian girl. Now that I think about it, that doesn't sound too talking. Zero is jump scared by another girl. Skye's best friend and best girl, Rishi Dimitrov. She's French, so she's lost points. Everything else is cool. I like especially how she's an like me. More stuff happens and Zero goes home, where he tells Kamuri that he thinks he wants to enroll in Zeronia Town Academy. Anyway, on to the next chapter. Yeah, despite being named Eventful First Day, this chapter really isn't eventful. Per Skye's invite from last chapter that I forgot to mention, Zero enters the Exploration Club in the school. He has to pass an obstacle course in which he has to beat Skye's older brother Ash.
We don't like Ash.
He races him, wins by a large margin, and everyone celebrates that this book is halfway over.
Reading this book is gonna give me a panic attack.
This chapter starts with congratulations from everyone to Zero, which he nonchalantly brushes off. Zero is assigned to Team 4 with Rei Misogi, Moon Kiyuri, Yuri Ziegler, and Skye. Also, if you couldn't tell by how these interactions between Moon and Zero are going to go soon, I'll tell you right now. These two are going to very, very hard in future books. Zero goes into the locker room to find one of his teammates, Moon. They talk for a bit and exchange interests, but then poor, innocent, stupid Moon asks the simple question. Were you involved with the fire in the next region over a few years ago? That sends Zero into a panic attack as memories of that day flood into his brain. He lays on the floor and breathes heavily, begging Moon to stay by his side. Skye comes into the boys' locker room not too long after and helps Zero into a better chapter. The chapter begins right where we left off, with Moon apologizing profusely. Skye doesn't give a single f***. They go up to his house and bring him inside with his mother's permission. And as Zero goes upstairs to calm down, she sits the two down and begins to tell a stripped-down backstory of Zero. Zero comes back downstairs and hugs his new teammates tightly, thanking them for their assistance. I need assistance on killing myself. This chapter starts in Skye's point of view, with the club coach assigning Skye, Zero, Rei, Yuri, and Moon on their first mission. Unfortunately, Moon can't go for reasons we will learn later. They're heading over to Rift City to help out the guilds. Since this universe doesn't have cars yet, they have to travel a few hours by foot. Sounds like a regular day in Wisconsin. Skye goes to Zero's house and knocks on the door. Grier answers the door, closes the door, and Zero answers the door again shortly after so Skye can deliver the news of their mission, and pulls him out of his own house to hers, to his chagrin by the way. Zero is then pulled up to her room, further than I've gone with a girl, that's for sure, and watches as she packs up her stuff. Enter, Skye walks him back home, Zero trauma dumps, we're moving on. This chapter follows Skye's point of view again as she goes up to Zero's house and knocks on the door again. Why he hasn't got a restraining order is beyond me. As she goes upstairs to Zero's room, she catches him practicing his epically cool fighting skills he learned from Grier. She asks if he's ready, to which he replies that he didn't tell his mother that he's going to be going to a whole other city. Dumb. Kamuri is of course distraught about this, but Grier solved the problem by giving Zero a magic heart locket that tracks his vitals. Okay, seriously, who wrote this? Before he leaves, Kamuri makes him promise that they'll stay out of trouble. He agrees, they hug, they meet their team in the middle of the town, and head off. They continue their journey under the setting sun and come across a river. This is where we learn of Zero's fear of water and lack of swimming ability. Skye jumps into the water, and Zero does too. Skye swims across slowly while Zero clings to her body like a baby possum. Then they set up camp, talk about their dream. Let's move on, please. They make it to the Rift City gate at the start of this chapter. Rift City is described as a sort of jungle town, with trees making up most of the buildings, like houses and infirmaries. Yuri and Rei spot a woman who they both recognize as Yuri's older cousin, Calliope Ziegler, and introduce her. This is the last time we will see her until we get to Ground Zero. Calliope leads the group to the guild, where they meet the guildmaster and his vice, Tiva Lockwood and Jay Soul. Anyway, those two notice Zero and, for whatever reason, starts to mention the incident that killed his family. Like, what the Who would do that? Obviously, this sends Zero into another panic attack and he teleports away. Skye then finds Zero, comforts him, and they go back to their mission. Next chapter. I wonder what kind of mission they were assigned. The person they figure out they're escorting is named Rikia Flameheart. She's the niece of the guildmaster of the second guild. Rikia starts to semi-flirt, semi-tease Zero, to which Skye feels some sort of way about. I wonder why. Anyway, they have to escort her to a town, so that's what they do. She continues to flirt with Zero, Skye continues to be jealous, and Yuri Ray continue to be completely insignificant. But everything takes a left turn when Blaze start flying from the sky like they're getting attacked by Moon Knight. They duck behind a rock for cover. Ray yells that he doesn't know what's going on. Neither do I, Ray. Skye comes up with an idea to let the string carry them away, and we're moving on to the next chapter. Chapter 18 begins a little further where we left off, with Skye asking Rikia if those assassins are after her as they lay in their sleeping bags in front of a campfire. She denies it, saying that she's not important enough to be hunted, which leaves Skye flabbergasted. If they're not after Rikia, who are they after? The answer is really obvious when you think about it. Fast forward a few hours, they're attacked again as they're walking. They're held up at knife point and Zero recognizes their attackers. They're after him, not Rikia. So, he unleashes his greatest ability, flames. He releases a sea of fire and burns his attackers to smithereens. Kidding, he just burns them a bit. They make it to Lukomo village where Rikia lives, and she rewards Zero with a cheek kiss. Skye is close to blowing her lid. Yeah, and then Zero gets stabbed. Wait, what? Whew. Almost done. Zero wakes up in the hospital, his stab wound passed out completely. Skye runs in, calls him an idiot, and then hugs him. Rikia then comes in and asks to be friends for some reason, and the naive idiot Zero agrees. And then all hell breaks loose. A woman suddenly appears in Zero's room like she's Ramona Flowers. She terrifies him to his core, sending him into an instant panic attack. This woman is Uzuma Adamatus, his kidnapper and tormentor. She walks over and tells Zero to follow her, all while subtly threatening Skye and Rikia's lives. It's not until Skye speaks up does Uzuma attempt to kill her, but she's saved by someone. Grier Evergarden! She uses her photokinesis, or light magic, to ward her off. Wait, why is that music playing? Oh, fuck. In the Ground Zero series, there are many different magic types, or kinesis. But not all kinesis can be used by everyone. There are some that are passed down by bloodline. For example, photokinesis can only be used by Grier and her mother, but not by Kamuri. Azure pyrokinesis can only be used by Zero, and any children that he has will have the chance to inherit that magic. Got it? Got it. Next chapter. This chapter is basically just Skye trying to figure out why Zero is avoiding her. I don't blame him, I'd avoid this pest too. Skye learns that Ash, her older brother, who's been bullying Zero for a little now, has threatened Zero to stay away from Skye. She has an argument with him, assures Zero she'll be fine, almost kisses him on his own bed. Please get me on to the next chapter. This chapter is useless and provides nothing to the story. Moving on.
Stop. Stop. Jesus Christ, I can't stay on this side anymore. I don't care what happens to me, as long as I can prove that idiot wrong. Hey, I'm Calibre, a shameless copy of Dark Markiplier. Bite me. You probably saw me on the side, on the video, explaining everything that the other version of me wouldn't explain, as well as explaining that one part about what Grier said since he was too lazy to put it in the video. Anyway, chapter 21 is somewhat important. We see why Moon had to drop out of the mission, and we can see developing crush on Zero, as Zero helps him with Death his grandpa, which is why he couldn't go on the mission. And Moon thanks him before calling him cute. So sweet, it makes me sick. We then see the relationship between Zero and Skye, as well as Rishi, grow as they all help each other out in certain situations. Hence the chapter name. Well, that's it. From here on, take what they say with 40 pounds of salt.
Skye is talking with her mother about the weird feeling in her stomach whenever she talks or sees Zero, and her mother teases her about it. Skye makes her fear of rejection prominent, but her mother assures her that everything will be fine. So Zero appears and gives her a violet hair clip, and then exposes her surprise party because he's autistic. Skye goes to her surprise party, gets surprised, goes up to her room with Zero, and then gets told that she should stay away from him. Happy birthday! Moon's only POV chapter in which he helps Skye confess to Zero. That's it. Attack on Titan, Rift City, starts with Skye reminiscing the fact that it's been a year since Zero started living in Dragona. She also laments the fact that he has to go back, but he promises to visit. Also, her wings start to grow in. Forgot to mention she didn't have any. Wasn't really important, but yeah. They're assigned a mission back to Rift City, so they go. Along the way, they meet Rishi's team members, Echo Listris, who will be very, very important, and Ingrid Forjo, who will not be as important. They arrive at Rift City just in time for it to be ambushed. As the city is burning to ashes, Zero fights the leader of the attack and gets his handed to him. It's only when they slash Skye down the middle does he reveal his greatest ability. Azure Flames. He wins and takes Skye to recover. Next chapter. Skye wakes up with a new sense of adventure, so she suggests they go explore a cave literally named the Devil's Den. You guys can see my chagrin with Skye now. Zero reluctantly agrees, and they sneak out at night 2 weeks later. They explore the cave carefully. Zero carefully, and Skye like a kid in a candy store. But then, something happens. While off guard, Skye is slashed deeply by a giant spider, while Zero is stabbed through the heart. He kills it in his last moments. Skye desperately tries to heal him before she passes out, but it doesn't seem to work. Skye then wakes up in the hospital, surrounded by her teary-eyed parents and brother. She knows she won't make it, so in her last moment she tells her family that she loves them and Zero with all of her heart. She passes away shortly after. This chapter follows Zero as he goes through a sort of change. It's like he's permanently stuck on stage 2 of grieving, which is anger. He sneaks out, gets into fights, and insults Rishi as she leaves town to go to Tempe Island. Not even Moon, his best friend at this point, can stop him. It's not until his mother tells him that she understands his pain, that she also lost someone close to her before. She knows how much it hurts. She was able to get through that pain with the help of her family, and she will do the same for Zero. Zero breaks down in his mom's arms, blubbering out apologies unintelligibly. Skip about a few months later, now having gotten a bit of closure, Zero and his family, along with Moon, who's now named Hero, are now traveling back to Floralfield. They teleport there and run into his older sisters, who are now 16. They hug and pepper his face with kisses and invite him to live at their treehouse with them, to which he agrees. The story then skips a bit ahead. Zero is on the couch reminiscing about his time with Skye late at night. His sisters come down and try to comfort him as he begins to cry, but he isn't budging. They then take him out where they tell him how they deal with grief. After that, they all burst into tears while hugging each other, all of them thankful they've gotten each other back. And that's the end of Ground Zero Before the Storm.
There is an epilogue, but I don't feel it's as important because it's just Zero thanking Skye for loving him and that he'll always love her back. So I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for listening to the summary.
Now it's time for the actual review. I knew you guys were waiting for this one. So I'll just be reviewing the story and characters separately, since there's not much I have to say. And we'll also start then with the characters we were introduced to. Zela is strange. I don't agree with most of her choices regarding her children, and she may also come off as a bit harsh and irresponsible. She loves her children, that's evident, but her way of showing that is weird. 4 out of 10. I think Cassidy was purely made to be his wife's foil. He doesn't really have any of the flaws that she has. Not any flaws in general, nor any really time in the book at all. And his off-screen death is awkward. I know we're supposed to care, but it's hard to when we don't get enough screen time with the guy. I don't dislike him, so I guess I would say 5 out of 10? Zeri is one character who I actually enjoyed reading. Her relationship with her brother is adorable, even if it is a bit short-lived. She's kind and thoughtful, as well as a bit of an idiot. She's good to read, she's nice, 8 out of 10. Zera's cold but secretly warm and cool nature is cool, I guess. I've seen it done so many times that it's getting old, but I don't hate it, just like I don't hate her. She's enjoyable to read sometimes, and I would like to see more of her character evolve. 7.5 out of 10. Zero is interesting, to say the least. It feels like he's made to mold and bend around the other characters' personalities, and that's his only purpose, which kind of makes him come off as stale. I mean, he's basically a foreigner in an unfamiliar land, which explains why he's so nervous all the time. But his relationship with his mother is cute, and his interaction with his friends are enjoyable sometimes. I wish he felt like his own character all the time, or even most of the time, but that's something the author will have to fix in later iterations. Kamuri is cool. As a mother, she has a very soft and likable vibe to her. I don't think there's a scene where I think she was acting crazy or overreacting. All of her stress and worries are understandable. She's a recently adopted mother after all, and it's only been one for a few years. I think anyone would be a bit nervous at that. 9 out of 10. Grier, in my opinion, is as enjoyable as she is important. And that's saying a lot, depending on her importance. Her calm nature and subtle passive aggressiveness at time makes her a really cool and delightful character to read. Her interactions with her nephew are also very adorable at times. Her abilities to do things that seemingly are impossible confuse me sometimes. I really love her character, and I can't wait to see her more in other books. 10 out of 10. Ugh. If you couldn't tell, I'm not too fond of Skye. In my opinion, she's very annoying most of the time, making almost every interaction with her a nightmare to read. Of course, she's not all bad. There are interactions between her and Zero that I like the one where they're talking about their dreams, or the one where she's comforting him. Overall, she's not my cup of tea. Moon's place in this story in particular is very small. While he is considered one of Zero's best friends, he isn't really important in this story. Like, besides the end, you could take him out and nothing would really change. It's sad, really. All of the scenes he is in makes him seem pretty enjoyable. I would have liked him more to be involved in the plot, but I digress. 6 out of 10. The story of this book is strange. And it's strange in the fact that it's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes it moves too fast, and sometimes it moves at a snail's pace. Like, I understand why the chapters following Zeri and Zera are 7 chapters long, but why? In the parts where it does move fast, it moves too fast. Like, they go from going to Rift City in one chapter to being in Rift City in the next chapter. Also, there are a bunch of errors in this book, both grammatically and aesthetically. Like, for some fucking reason, he decided to space a bunch of dialogue and lines up, so it just looks awkward. The magic system in this story is one place I will give it credit, though. Its premise is simple, but I guess that's what makes it appealing. And with a lot of creativity regarding kinesis, it's not hard to think up something on the spot. Overall, I'll give this story about 5.5 out of 10 out of enjoyability, I guess. Overall, I wouldn't suggest reading this if you're expecting something of high quality. If you want something stupid and fun to read and just that, I would suggest this book. But don't take it too seriously. And, well, that's basically everything. I hope you enjoyed my debut video. And if you did, go ahead and sub. I'm sure I'll make more of this before disappearing off the face of the earth within a year's time. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll see you guys later, okay? Have a good night.